am absolutely so excited to introduce to you Maestro Carlo Ponti, conductor of the Los Angeles Virtuosi Orchestra, and so much more. Thank you so much for joining us today, Carlo.
Thank you, Deborah. Pleasure to be here. Thank you for the kind introduction.
Yeah, and I was just thrilled. I picked up the phone yesterday and there you were. And I thought, well, we've got to make something happen here because I really want to talk to you about what you do for music education because it's so important. So tell our audience, won't you, what is the Los Angeles Virtuosi Orchestra?
The Los Angeles Virtuosi Orchestra is a chamber orchestra. It's based in Los Angeles. We give our performances. Our home venue is the Théâtre Raymond Cabaz, which is in West LA, and it's a wonderful venue. It's owned by the Lycée Français of Los Angeles.
Mm.
Very intimate, beautiful venue of 250 seats, and we're very grateful to having been able to perform here throughout. This is our 8th season. Coming up, starting with the Friday performance, which we'll talk about later, and
Hmm.
it's a chamber orchestra, and it's very unique because it's the only orchestra, at least to my knowledge, that is wholly active for the purpose of supporting music education.
Mm.
We
Talk to
support
me about that. Go ahead.
We support music education in two ways. First of all, by collecting the net profits of our concerts and allocating them to the music programs of selected schools that we partner with. And also the second way is to integrating young talent directly with the professional players of our orchestra, which are musicians from the best ensembles in Los Angeles, from the LA Opera, some musicians from the Los Angeles Philharmonic, lots of freelance players as well, wonderful players. And by integrating with our orchestra young talent as soloists, sometimes as chorus members, young choruses, to give them the opportunity to work with a professional ensemble.
How important is it for young people to get involved with music education? Because let's face it, often that's the first thing to get cut, particularly in some public schools, right? So why don't you tell our audience how critical it is for young people?
Well, like you said, it's quite a difficult situation, especially in public schools, because there's so often arts programs are cut, music programs are often one of the first programs to be cut from the curriculum. So in many situations, nonprofits like the Los Angeles Virtuosi Orchestra fill in that gap and provide arts education programs or activities to these schools. And so
Mm.
I think it's extremely important to infuse school curricula with creative arts programs, not only music but also painting and a myriad of other arts activities, including music, because it infuses the curriculum with creativity. In many instances, it makes sure that students attend school because they're interested by the creativity that's infused by arts activities, including music. And music benefits students in countless positive ways, regardless of what path that they choose in life. It promotes communication, it promotes discipline, it promotes creativity, it promotes having a certain interpretive vision of something, it promotes having an objective. So it's really, regardless of what path they choose, every student can benefit from music and arts education.
What age is it important for a young person to get involved and take music education?
The schools that we partner with are in many instances elementary schools, because I think it's very important to start students at an elementary school level, so they grow, so they have a base of arts education as their base, and then they can choose whether they want to pursue it more
Right.
or not. But in any case, growing up, being molded by an arts infused and a music infused environment is very beneficial.
And for those students out there, like myself, who took music, and my parents were very much like, Deborah, you're going to take music, you're going to learn the piano. And boy, I had a hard time practicing or whatever. I'm glad she did it. I did it with my three sons, and it just expands, as you said, right? Whatever it is you do, if you're a scientist, an athlete, whatever, it does expand the mind. So I'm glad that my mom insisted that I take music education. And as you said, some will continue with it, some will not,
Right.
right?
It infuses, yeah, it's regardless of what path you choose,
Yeah.
it promotes benefits that will help you no matter what profession that you choose.
Now, when we go and see this week, it is composed of professional, of course, musicians, but also there are others, right, that are involved that will be playing up on stage. And by the way, you are at the theater now, which is quite
Right,
stunning.
right.
So I'm excited about that. That's the backdrop. But tell us who will be performing this week.
We have a wonderful program featuring works by Camille Saint-Saëns, which is a French composer of the Romantic period, Johann Sebastian Bach, that everybody I'm sure knows, German composer of the Baroque period, and we will be ending the program with Joseph Suk's Serenade for Strings. In this particular concert, it's only a string orchestra. It's our core group of 22 strings, which is the core group of the orchestra. It's composed by 22 strings. Then we, depending on the repertoire, we can enlarge or reduce that core group. But in this situation, it's our core group of 22 strings. And we will end, as I said, with Joseph Suk Serenade, wonderful piece. Joseph Suk was a wonderful composer. He was also a virtuoso violinist, and he was lived in the Romantic period, so in the 19th century. And he composed this serenade for strings, which we'll be ending the program with, early in his career. And Joseph Suk was one of the favorite pupils of Antonin Dvorak, which is the most famous Czech composer that ever lived. Suk was also Czech, and he married Dvorak's daughter. And he had a very tragic occurrence when Dvorak died in 1895, I think. No, in 1904. Sorry, Dvorak died,
okay.
and then Joseph Suk married his daughter Ottilie, and his daughter died very shortly after her father Dvorak died. So he had to endure the stress of his mentor and his daughter Ottilie, which died of heart failure at 27. So it was a very dramatic, and often Suk's works are infused with a lot of pathos, a lot of drama. The very stern works, and to the admonition of his teacher Dvorak, he composed this serenade, which is a more light musical language, and it has remained to this day Joseph Suk's most enduring and popular work. Wonderful composition.
I love how you painted a picture for me because I was visualizing his life as you were describing what we're going to be seeing this week on Friday. So thank you very much for that. And also that passion comes through in your conducting. I have to say, I've been studying you and watching what you do, and that really comes through. Talk to me a little bit about you and conducting. I know that as a young person, you studied you were a pianist, correct?
I started as a pianist, and then on the admonition of my father, Carlo Ponti Sr., which was a producer. You know, he produced many famous movies like Dr. Zhivago and many other films. He always told me, you know, I think you should be a conductor because it's a very complete musical activity. You know, it doesn't limit yourself to an instrument. You work with an orchestra, you work with so many different instruments, and you work in this collaborative situation with other people, and you can inspire people. So he always, and I think that he himself wanted secretly to be a conductor, although he didn't have much. He really appreciated music, but didn't have much musical talent. So he always admonished me to become a conductor, and in 1994, I think it was, I said, okay, I'll try it. I'll give it a try. And I went to Connecticut to the Hart School of Music, which was affiliated with the University of Hartford. And they had a conducting program, which was called the Conductors Institute. And it was headed by a very famous conductor and also conducting pedagogue called Harold Farberman. And that's where I had my first taste of conducting, my first impact with the profession, and from the beginning it was a very positive impact. I really liked with the musicians, with the orchestra, had very positive feedback from Maestro Farberman, also from the other teachers that were there. And so from the beginning, I really enjoyed it. And when I was playing an instrument, the adrenaline always at the time of performance worked against me because I used to very much be tight at performance and not be able to give my best at performance. I sounded better in the practice room, but the adrenaline when I'm a conductor, because I'm inspiring to play and I'm communicating musical ideas, but I'm not actually playing myself. So that actually
Right.
worked for me. So the adrenaline in a performance situation as a conductor works at my advantage, and I'm able to give that extra energy, the extra inspiration that makes the concert, a very meaningful impact for the audience. And so I was very happy about that.
Gosh, Carlo, for so many of us who attend performances and watch the conductor, can you explain to us what the job really entails? You're speaking to all the musicians on the stage, right? You're talking to them all at the same time in a way, right? Simultaneously. Could you explain to us how that works?
Well, the conductor, in my opinion, and
Hmm.
there might be diverging opinion about this, but in my opinion, the most important role of the conductor is to control how the music moves in time,
Hmm.
how the musical how the musical events, when they happen, where they happen, how fast the or slow how the movement of the music unfolds, and judge
Ah.
and as per these elements, as per the movement of the music, the audience, without knowing why, will be either bored or thrilled by the concert. If the timing of the events, if the flow of the music is erratic and not controlled well, then the concert
Hmm.
will be boring. Whereas if it is controlled well, the concert will be very exciting. And a conductor is an interpreter, in my opinion. You have to be an
Yeah.
interpreter.
Yeah.
Um, and so if the temporal architecture is clear to the audience without the audience knowing why, they're not aware of this, but they're subconsciously how they intake the concert because the temporal architecture is clear, um, then the concert will be successful to the listener, to the person
Hmm.
that experiences it.
Yeah, and very moving. I mean, sometimes, I can feel the performance, and you're right. That's all based on how the conductor conducts all of that. Can we talk a little bit? Let's go way back, right? We talked about you as a young person, and your entree into music. Your parents, Carlo Ponti Sr., a distinguished filmmaker, some of the finest films of all time. Your mother, an incredible actress, humanitarian, Sophia Loren, and your brother, Eduardo, whom, and I know your mom just did a film with him. What was it like for those of us speaking through the window to get a glimpse into what that was like growing up in such an artistic household?
Well, it really helped me because I think that what I do as a conductor is extremely close to the cinematic professions, whether it be acting,
Mm,
directing, you know, also with producing a film. So in a sense, I do everything together. For example, with
yeah.
LAV, I'm involved in the fundraising of the performances. So I'm the
Hmm.
producer of the performances. I look for the funds. Then I'm involved in having an interpretive design for the concerts, having a certain interpretive vision of how the concert should be interpretation wise, which is what a
Mm,
director would do, which a director has to have a vision of how he or she wants the movie to be. And also emoting as an actor, emoting, conducting involves also emoting, bringing forth emotions with your face. Also, with look at Bernstein, look at many conductors. You have to emote, bring forth to the musicians and to the audience certain emotions that you emote. So you, in a sense, act a lot. So they're
right.
they're very close professions that really they really many elements of producing, directing, and acting find themselves in what I do as a
Mm,
conductor, which is very interesting. And for example, when
mm.
I study conducting, I when I prepare a score, I sing a lot of the music, which is I solfege the music, which helps
Ah.
me really integrate the score, and
Mm,
And so sometimes when I practice on my own, when I'm conducting on my own without an orchestra, if my mother listens to me, she has wonderful, always wonderful insights. Or my brother listens to me, or when my father was alive, he would listen to me, and they would always give me such insightful and such meaningful feedback for, oh, this seems to be too fast, or the way that this phrasing. Also, if they come to a concert, they will say such good feedback, which shows that they really understand what is involved in my job, in what I do.
What's extraordinary about your family, of course, legends, is that they are about the work. And clearly there is beauty, there is talent, there is all of that, but they are about the work, which I know had a real impression on you, right? Hard work.
Hard work was always extremely
Yeah.
throughout my life was a leitmotif that my parents always very much brought to the forth. And
Yeah.
dedication, the value of hard work, the value of distinguishing yourself through hard works generated through excellence generated by hard work. So this concept of dedication and of hard work is very much, like I said, a leitmotif which to this day me and Eduardo really live by.
Yeah. What's your earliest memory of music playing in the house? Was it classical? I imagine it was. And what was it like? Was everybody dancing around the house, singing? I'm trying to
Well, my
paint a
parents
picture.
loved all sorts of music. They loved classical music, a lot of Beethoven, a
Mm.
lot of Tchaikovsky playing in the house, but in
Yeah.
tandem, a lot of Donna Summer. Because I grew up in the '70s, so a lot of disco music. So I come from but classical music was always very much present there, and both my parents were very big aficionados of classical music. And
You,
my grandmother from my mother's side was a very competent concert pianist. She never had a big career, but she
mhm.
did some performances, and she was a very advanced pianist. My mother's mother.
Yeah. So it's clearly in the family. Um, Tell us a little bit about when your background in terms of your training. So I know that you've also worked with the Russian National Orchestra. You worked here in California, I believe, with the in San
San Bernardino
Bernardino,
Symphony.
correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you tell us a little bit about that? Because you've sort of been everywhere, and I know with each experience that's added to where you are today to give back, right, to kids who might not have the opportunity with music and music education.
So I've had the opportunity to work. I was very lucky that from directly, practically out of college,
Yeah.
out of UCLA, where I studied conducting, where I got my master's in conducting, I befriended somebody that worked with the Russian National Orchestra, and they were auditioning conductors. So I went to Moscow and I auditioned for one of the guest conducting posts positions, and the principal conductor liked me, and so I was fortunate enough to right out of college to have concerts with a world class orchestra, with one of the best
Mm.
orchestras in the world, which is
Yeah.
the Russian National Orchestra, and
Mm.
to work with a world class orchestra to perform with them on tour in America a lot as a sushi conductor. That's what I used to do. I used to rehearse with them in Moscow, but then we used to come to America to play tours across America, and uh, and it was a great experience. It was somewhat of a daunting experience because here I was a neophyte conductor, and in front of years of cumulative experience, in
Right.
front of the orchestra, in front of Russian, an all Russian orchestra. You can imagine.
Yeah.
But from the outset we had a very good rapport, and it was a wonderful it was a wonderful experience, of course, to play all this repertoire with them. And then also in San Bernardino, I was music director there for 12 years. So early on I garnered a lot of orchestral repertoire, which I
Mm.
was very thankful about,
Mm.
and had a lot of experience, and so I was very happy that I could grow with two such wonderful ensembles.
I love what you say, and I know that probably also to students that you also learn equally as much from the mistakes that you make, right? So, tell us a little bit about that because we learn so much, not just from the constant progression of the work, but from the mistakes.
As an artist, I believe that you cannot, mistakes are as important as success,
Hmm.
especially as an interpret. As an interpret,
Mm.
they are as important as success because it's from the mistake that then you know what to do right.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
you do a concert and you have a certain interpretive vision of a piece. Then you do the concert and you realize, oh my God, this particular movement was too fast or too slow because I wasn't objective enough during the time of performance. I just let myself. I thought it was okay on the stage, but I wasn't objective, And so you see, that next time, watch for that because during the time of performance, it can run away from you, or it can
right.
be, or it can be too slow, or so mistakes are necessary, in my opinion, uh, to achieve a certain kind of success. They're as important as if you learn from them, of course. I mean,
Yeah,
the tragedy is not to learn from your mistakes, but if
right.
you learn from them, they're as necessary. They're an intrinsic part of the artistic process. Is mistakes.
You divide your time between Switzerland, right, where your mom lives, and you grew up there, and also here in Los Angeles, right? So is that why the motivation to do the work here, to give back to the community where you spend so much time?
Absolutely, and this is the second largest school district in the nation, and as you said,
Yeah.
one of the least, one of the most underfunded, in terms of public schools, uh, of uh, of of arts education, of music education, so of music activities. So it only makes sense, excuse me, that I would have this kind of an orchestra here in Los Angeles.
It's very exciting. I'm very much looking forward to attending. I'm going to have you sort of pan around the theater in a moment, but first, in case I lose you, honestly, with internet service, tell our audience how they can get tickets, how they can participate and donate toward music education. Set us up for that first, would you?
Well, you can go on the Los Angeles Virtuosi Orchestra's website,
Mm.
lavirtuosi.org, and log on, and then you will see the list of the concerts.
Hmm.
In this particular concert, it is the September 30th performance at the Théâtre Raymond Cabaz, and you just click
Hmm.
on the Buy Tickets tab on the page of the concert, on the web page of the concert, and you will be directed to a ticket purchase site, and you can buy your tickets there.
Right, and also to donate, right, to what the cause that you're so passionate about.
Donate, absolutely. We have on the lavirtuosi.org site, we have a donate button, and when you press on the button, you'll be directed to a donate page, and you have all the donation levels. Of course, any amount is welcome, and then you can donate either via PayPal or send us a check.
Yeah, I'm so looking forward to this. And by the way, I might add, there's it seems to be a fourth generation where the arts are progressing, right? I know that your children also are involved in the arts. If you want to tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, my son is a very competent pianist.
Mm.
He's a wonderful pianist, and he's performed quite a bit. Never performed with an orchestra, but wonderful pianist, very 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 artistic. And my daughter is also playing guitar now, so definitely I have very musical children. But my whole family is very musical.
Yeah,
My mother and her sister are obviously extremely musical. Her mother was a very
right.
fine pianist. My brother is extremely musical. He could have been, if you wanted, musician if you wanted to,
Mm.
definitely. So from my father's side, they're not musical, but from my mother's side, including my brother, my kids, are very musical people.
But how dad so appreciated it. It's incredible. I'm sure you'd love to work with your brother, right? Is that a dream of yours to work together?
Yes, yes, we might collaborate in the future on him directing an opera, maybe, in that vein. But definitely, I would love
Mm.
to
Wow.
collaborate with him in the future.
Well, gosh, I'm sure glad that we connected yesterday. I picked up the phone and there you were, and I got so excited.
Very
So
happy
I'm
to.
glad we were able to make this happen. But why don't you give us a quick tour around? If you can just pick up
I give you.
your laptop and show us the
So
theater,
this
would
is
you?
the sure. So this is the theater. Like I said, it's 250 seats, so it's very intimate. It's very beautiful. Gives
Yeah,
the concert goer a very intimate experience.
yeah. It's a stunning venue, everybody. I've been before, and it's
Beautiful
very
venue. So
intimate. Yeah, go ahead.
it's been our home venue for the past 8 seasons.
Hmm.
This is the orchestra's musicians setting up because we have a rehearsal in about 25 minutes.
Yeah,
So this is the stage.
we literally squeeze this in. So thank you
Yeah,
so much. Oh, I love seeing them set up. To me, the behind the scenes is
this
just
is
so
the
exciting.
stage. Like I
Yeah.
said, we're going to be doing it with our core group of 22 strings. So this is the stage of the theater. This is
Oh,
view
magnificent.
a view of the theater from the conductor's podium, which is this.
Magnificent. And in 2 days, it will be
In
filled
two
with an
days, we'll be
audience.
filled with a
Yeah.
wonderful audience with wonderful music. We have uh, we have two wonderful. We didn't mention actually. I didn't mention that we have two wonderful up and coming soloists
Hmm.
performing Johann Sebastian Bach's double concerto in D minor. And
Wow.
they will be performing. It's their first time with a professional orchestra. So
Hmm.
that's one example how we integrate young talent in our concerts.
Wow.
And yeah, that's it. This is another last view of the theater from the entrance with the public and from the stage.
Do you personally pick those young performers? Because imagine getting that call. I was excited getting the call. Imagine being them.
I we audition a large number of performers of young performers every season, and then we pick Mia, and the board of the orchestra picks the ones that we think are the most deserving to perform with us.
Outstanding. I look forward to seeing them perform as well. Carlo Ponti, an honor and a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank
And
you.
again,
Likewise.
again, a shout out, would you, to the theater and time and everything else where people can get their tickets one more time.
Absolutely. So the performance is on September 30th, on Friday at 8 p.m. at the Theater Raymond Cabaz, spelled the first name is Raymond, like Raymond, and then
Mm.
Cabaz, last name is Cabaz, Kabbaz. You can go either on the theater's website or on the Los Angeles Virtuosi Orchestra website, which is lavirtuosi.org, and get your tickets for the September 30th performance. And you will see all the musical works that were described earlier and two wonderful soloists, young soloists performing Bach's double concerto in D minor.
Absolutely. And this is the beginning of the season, so we look forward
Beginning of
to
the season.
much more. And I will be seeing you there as well on Friday. And I hope that many in my audience join as well. And bring your kids, especially those who are interested in music. This is a very exciting time and really an exciting performance to be watching. So thank you so much for
Thank you,
joining us.
Deborah. Pleasure.
Again, a pleasure. And we will be seeing you on Friday night. And thanks everybody for joining our show. It is Little Italy Podcast and also Deborah Kobylt live simulcast on all platforms. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and then also as an audio podcast. And we were just listed as one of the top Italian podcasts to listen to in the country. So I was very honored about that. I didn't even know somebody actually brought it to my attention. So thank you. Anyway, we'll be seeing you Friday. Thank you for joining us,
Thank
and
you,
we'll see you
Deborah.
next time.